Do you know how to ask for help? Do you know how to assess your needs as a late diagnosed adult in the workplace? Well, how do I ask for help when I'm not sure what kind of help I need? And at what point do I share about my ADHD or autism diagnosis in the workplace? Hi, I'm Brett, the Audi Boss. I have over 12 years of leadership training and experience and a diagnosis of ADHD and autism. On this channel, we talk about ADHD and autism in the workplace, or AuDHD. I'm continuing my conversation with Dr. Bowen Marshall, PhD, a licensed psychotherapist, author, and career coach specializing in ADHD, autism, and neurodivergent career development. As a part of his work, Bowen helps neurodivergents navigate the complexity of career demands, helping ADHDers, AuDHDers, and autistics find and create systems, workflows, and leadership styles that help them succeed and thrive in the workplace and in life. This is part 2 of our conversation. You can check out part 1 in the description below. We're starting this conversation about assessing our needs in the workplace as late diagnosed neurodivergent employees.
So I think the question I have first and foremost is, because I work with so many late diagnosed people, and I want to put that out there, they don't know what they need.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things that I work a lot with, what's hard for people is, it's like, I have been doing this one process that got me results. Typically it's a dirty dopamine process, right? I'm using stress and anxiety to give me adrenaline, which pushes dopamine and norepinephrine, right? Because dopamine's the orienting neurotransmitter. It's not the pleasure neurotransmitter. That's one half of how we get it. Most people who are neurodivergent, who are untreated, unmedicated, get it through that dirty dopamine, that negative cycle response. But that burns their brains out over time because your brains are calibrated into a stress response. And so not only are they burned out, but often because they were shamed into masking, shamed into taking care of themselves, they don't know how to ask for help. They have no idea what level 1 support autism means in terms of like, wait, I need to figure out the edges of what I can't do, and then figure out how to ask for it, and then go through the process of, in corporate America, reasonable accommodations. Are people able to define and be honest about what they need, what those support leverages are? Because that's what level 1 support says. It says, I can live a full life, but I may need some support in some things, in some areas.
Yeah. I think the most difficult thing about that, though, especially for late diagnosed adult, is you get your diagnosis. You kind of hinted this on Substack the other day. You kind of, even if you're not getting the diagnosis, if you're self-diagnosed or late realized on your own, you're starting to figure that out. And then if you do get a formal diagnosis, most often people get the diagnosis and they're like, okay, there's your diagnosis, off you go. And you're just sort of sitting there going, well, now what? And I can hear so many people kind of listening to this conversation going, yeah, but how do I, without knowing how to get to the right therapist or how to get to the right tool, like how do I start that journey at whatever age I'm at? Because I think I get so many comments on my YouTube videos of people in their 60s and their 70s. Even I had somebody from their 80s the other day comment on one of my videos. I just got diagnosed and I'm stuck in this position of a little bit of what's the point? You've told me too late in my life. What am I supposed to do now? How do we help the people who are sitting in that place at that late stage of their diagnosis?
I always tell people that a diagnosis is either the beginning or an early midpoint. And that, especially if you're dealing with alexithymia, the notion that you're supposed to let your emotions be your guides. Well, I'm not connected to my emotions.
Yeah.
So I actually tell people, let your exhaustion be your guide.
I like that. Yeah.
What makes you most tired throughout the day? And actually chart it, like write it down. What are the things that you dread the most? What are the things that, it's really hard to see glimmers when you're in a depressed place, but if you can articulate your exhaustion, you actually start to get a sense of what you need to move away from.
Yeah.
And then to not feel guilty for being exhausted, for not being able to push through, to realize that, at one point you had to survive by being a people pleaser, but to do an assessment, like, do you have 3 months savings? Do you own your own home? Do you have a partner that you can talk with and say, hey, like I need to take 6 months off work? Do you have FMLA, right? It's not an easy road. It's not in any way an easy road to go down. But to me, it's this trade-off of, well, it's 6 months or a year of autistic burnout and really letting yourself sink into that and letting your nervous system recalibrate and focus on moving away from the things that make you exhausted, or it's the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I realize those are stark terms. I realize there's a lot of privilege embedded in all of those things, but that's for people who are trying to navigate it on their own. Listen to the exhaustion.
Yeah.
And it's 6 months to a year or the rest of your life.
Yeah. I love that though, because when we listen to our exhaustion, I think about what are the things that I need to take a long nap afterwards, or I need to sleep for 3 days after that thing, or even like it's preemptive exhaustion. Like I was just saying this the other day to somebody, like if I see a meeting on my calendar that I dread, I can feel that exhaustion start even days before the meeting has, because I'm already like pushing away from that thing. And that's a body signal that I am tuning into, that I can go, okay, I'm getting that. I know a lot of people struggle with disclosing in the workplace. A lot of people are always unsure about if they should share about their ADHD or their autism. What thoughts do you have on that? Because I know for myself, I really, again, speaking of privilege, I was in a very privileged, more senior leadership position when I decided to disclose. And I felt that I'm safe enough because I'm at a senior position, and not everybody would have that kind of level of protection to feel safe enough to disclose. But a lot of people do struggle with wherever they are in their career to disclose. How do you feel about that?
If you feel likable and have evidence to support that you're liked, that's one area where you kind of like go, I don't know, will disclosing make me less likable? Managing other perceptions. But I think that we're at a place in history, especially with the increasing awareness, where if people aren't going to like you because you're autistic, they're going to dislike you because of a label or because of that whole amygdala response thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like that. And so I go with disclose, lean into it. If it's causing you problems, if it's causing you anxiety, if you're starting to get feedback, get it documented, get that it's something that they were aware of. Because when you lean into it, when you give people an explanation, that's not a cop out. That gives them something to do with their brain. I do social skills work with people. And one of the things that a lot of people, a lot of my autistic clients, and I realized I used to struggle with this, but I kind of, Vanessa Van Edwards, I just did this like test things to be like, okay, what gets me to respond? And I was working with a client who told a joke that didn't land well. And he told me the response and told me, it's just kind of awkward. I said, but do you ever just own the awkwardness? Like, that was awkward.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that works.
Yeah.
Like if you have that ability to recognize it's awkward and just saying it. And what I found with most other people, autistic, ADHD, neurotypical people, is, so they did this study, and I should know that statistics better, but I don't, where they put people through job interviews. And they had 3 conditions. They had gives the job interview positive feedback, negative feedback, and neutral feedback. They trained all the interviewers to give the same predictable feedback. If it was positive, oh my God, great answer, love it. Awesome. Next, negative, like,
yeah.
And then neutral.
Yeah.
And giving nothing. And they anticipated that positive feedback would be great, negative feedback would be the worst, and neutral feedback would be in the middle. Wrong. Positive, yes. They were like, oh, I killed that interview. I'm going to get it. I don't know if they knew it was a simulated interview. I'm like, oh, how did you manage the IRB around that? Whatever.
Yeah.
Negatives, they were ticked, but they at least knew they weren't going to get the job.
They knew what to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Versus the neutral people, they lost their minds. They were like, was it good? Was it bad? Like, tell me something. Yeah. Tell me. And I often think about, right, like CPTSD, PTSD, they're caused by trauma, but they're actually arousal disorders. Mm-hmm. They're the inability to downregulate because the threat is not gone. Well, ambiguity is a type of threat.
Yeah.
And so what I see when people feel like they're always that awkward person is they actually haven't given enough information, enough social direction to get the group to close the loop.
Yeah.
So what you're doing when you're, awkward, I'm awkward. And I tell people, I'm ADHD as well. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that on there, but I'm ADHD as hell. And I also have some really rigid, weird things that are going to come out throughout the course of our friendship.
Yeah.
When they come out, they have closure. They already have a narrative. It's not like, Owen's usually super friendly, but I came to the bar after a full day of client lists and I am so overtaxed. I don't talk to them. I just walk to the bar and, slam a drink.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's weird. Well, if I've already told them, you're going to see me do some weird things when I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like take a shot. They have closure, and that closure for them is what reduces awkwardness. So I think coming out early, if you feel awkward or you're feeling those signals, is helpful because they're going to have closure. Now, if they're a company that's going to manage you out, they were probably going to do it anyway. So
yeah. And it was going to be a safe place to begin with. Yeah.
One of my biggest things in circumstances like that, although it sucks and we need jobs, rejection is protection.
My thanks to Bowen for taking the time to do these interviews with me. It's been really helpful for me to have this conversation with Bowen. If you haven't checked out Bowen's Substack, I strongly encourage you to do so. Some of the work there is absolutely incredible. Of course, be sure to follow Bowen on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram as well. But their Substack is incredible, and I do hope you check it out. There are resources there that continue on some of the topics that we talked about in this conversation, including how to start a productive ADHD therapy session and 4 AuDHD truths he won't be gatekeeping. These are really great articles, just to name a few. Definitely go check those out. They're in the description below. If the idea of understanding your needs at work resonates with you, then I might also recommend my Drains and Sparks workbook, which is available in my YouTube shop. And I also have a free accommodations workbook if you would like to learn more about assessing your accommodation needs or see what some accommodations already exist for AuDHD employees. You can check that out in the description below as well. It's a really great starting point if you're not even sure where to begin with accommodations. If you have a question or topic you'd like for me to cover, let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, my email is in the description. Subscribing helps this content grow and reach more people, so be sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me reach more people. If you like some of these videos and conversations that we're having, do check out some of the other videos while you're here. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more.